Hello everyone, my name is Murugan. I'm a SEBI registered research analyst. Happy to present the official website of National Stock Exchange, NSEIndia.com. I believe NSE has a lot of publicly available information which helps the traders or investors to take a critical decisions. In general, the beginners or even experienced traders uses the NSE website only to the extent to refer the prices, but surprisingly it has thousands of data points which helps them to take a critical decisions. And I wish to highlight some of those probably helps you to use them in your future while you take decisions as a trader or investor. And I limit myself to top 10 features that I wish to present it, but there are a lot more. So as a viewer, if you have a point to express or if you want a specific things to be covered in a greater detail, do make a comment and we wish to respond to them and make it in our future updates. Before I get into the detailed presentation of this video, let me give you an overview of what you can expect from this particular video. See, as an end user of NSEIndia.com, we know that we get a lot of data points, but you need to know what data points that we commonly use and where it is available. And there are some tools which helps us to convert the data points into a useful information using the scanners and filters with some filtering options. And we have some data points are less known to common crowd. I believe even less than 1% of people uses such data points, but that are critically important to take decisions as a trader as well as investor. I hope this will be very useful you going forward when you start trading. Let me give you the top 10 things that I will be covering in this particular video. The very first thing is the use case of Nifty 50 and Gift Nifty and where it is available. Number two, I'll be getting into the search bar where I'm talking about how to search the right company, how to use the drop down, and how to drill down to the company details in a greater extent. Number three, I'll be talking about equity data where we have a lot of new listing details, indices, gainers, 52-week high, and how, in what context it will be useful to take decisions. And then we will be getting into derivative specific data where we'll get into like the contracts and yield, open interest, many data. And interestingly, NSE have recently updated their homepage, and that makes a lot of interesting decisions right in the homepage. And thanks to this update, and I'll be explaining this in a greater detail. And we will be talking about IPO specific data and listing specific data. And we will talk about something which specific to investors where you have a lot of, a corporate filing details. So these makes it very interesting. And as a beginner, sometimes if you want to know how to understand the brokers, because brokers are the trading members of stock exchange, so they get the details available under a members column under regulation. So even if you want to know which brokers are frequently questioned by exchange or compliant by clients, those details are available because of regulatory compliances. And you have interesting raw data available for download via daily reports. So these are the areas that I'll be covering it in a greater detail, but have patience, and definitely we have a lot more to cover. But if such requests are there in the comments, and we will honor by releasing a future videos updating it. Hopefully you enjoy the complete video one after one. Let me begin my detailed presentation on top 10 use case of NSE website. First thing first, benchmark index. You may be new to stock market or have experienced in it, or you may be a trader or an investor, but we all need to know where the Nifty 50 is. So once you visit the NSE website, top right you see Nifty 50 as a static data point which is available and gets updated on a streaming basis, and you get to know where it is and how much change on absolute and relative change. So you don't have to look into any other website, just get into NSEIndia.com for you to get this information handy. But if you are watching this data between 9 to 3:30 on a working hours, this will be useful to understand the current sentiment in the market. But if you want to know this before a market opens, okay, so you don't refer Nifty 50, but in those days where we use SGX Nifty, okay, if you're an experienced trader, you must be aware of it, something called SGX Nifty, where we take a reference to understand at what price point Nifty tends to open. But a perfect replacement for that is Gift Nifty. That is available on top right. So it keeps scrolling. And if you want to know here the data available, Gift Nifty. So Gift Nifty can hint us an idea at what price point that Nifty is expected to open during the day. And if you want to understand the progress of Nifty for the day, you can look into this particular 1 day movement to get to know how it is. But if you want to have a historical information, it is also available in a click. That is the first use case. And it looks like Nifty price point, what more to reveal? Nifty reveals the market sentiment. Don't take it lightly. Understand the price charts, understand the percentage change, and plan your trades accordingly. Number two, the second thing is about the search bar. Okay, the search bar, it is as good as like Google search bar, because here where you start searching a lot of company names. Let's say if I type a Reliance, okay, now it gives me a lot of names specific to Reliance. But remember that we are interested in Reliance in equity. Interestingly, when you type Reliance Industries, you get the most relevant index on top. So I limit yourself to inequity. Make sure that you see inequity and the first one instead of you go to these areas. Okay. But if you have a different names, let's say Reliance Capital, or if you want to have something else, like you can go down. But in general, mostly it is available on top. Okay. So this is a good tip for a beginner. When you have a hustle between should I choose this or this, I request you to limit to this extent. So once you get into it, it gives you the detailed information about the company. Okay. And this is mostly relevant to the particular day data, like the right current price of Reliance is 1484.30, and it is up by 17 rupees. In a percentage term, it is 1.16%. And yesterday close price is 1467, and it has high of 1469 open, and high of 1488, and 1465 as a low. And likewise, we have a lot of details. And this is a trade information specific to the day. And you have some price information like 52-week high, 52-week low, in general specific to the companies. And if you want to know about date of listing, and it belongs to which industry, and if you want to know the details of it, then you can click on I, so that you get to know about they belongs to which sector, which industry, which basic industry. So you get a lot more details, so that you compare one company to another company. Not just this, you have interesting this column. Don't take it lightly, because you have a lot of details specific to it. Like you want a Reliance specific buyback, or you want to know about their board meetings, or you want to download their annual reports, and if you want to know about their shareholding patterns in a greater detail, all of them are actually available here. Interestingly, even third party details. Remember, the companies which wants to list in stock exchange, or the brokers who want to associate with stock exchange, they have to constantly update a lot of information to this website, which in turn made publicly available. So in a way that any public available informations of Reliance website can be expected from this and SEBI website. But now I wish to limit myself to NSE website here. So the second thing that I covered, which is about the search bar, where you can search a company and get into the greater detail of this. The third thing that I wish to actually talk about is the equity market data. Before I get into the equity market data, let me give you, if you are a pro trader, okay, you may also get interested in derivatives. Am I right? So if you click on derivatives, you get to know the derivative contracts of the underlying Reliance, specific to Reliance. And if you want to have a greater detail of it, you can go to even option chain analysis. And if you want to have any historical data specific to it, you can still do. And you have a lot of options to toggle between different calendars and different strike price for you to get into it. And those who are even a pro trader, or let's say you're a beginner, may not know this feature. Many people get into stock market only to buy and sell. But there is an interesting feature called securities lending and borrowing, which is like you can lend a shares or you can borrow a shares. Like you can buy a house, sometime you can even sell a house, but those are very common to people. But there's one more interesting feature in stock market, that you can rent a house. I mean, in this context, you can rent a stock. That is what happens in securities lending and borrowing. But now I'm not going to detail of this concept. Rather, I'm telling you that these details are easily available in the NSE website. Let me now get into the third point, which is market data. Okay, now this tab is a very powerful tab because underneath you have equity specific detail, derivative specific detail. These two sections that I wish to cover, because I don't cover most on the debt relevant or a IPO primary market, I'll have in a separate tab. So now let's get into market data specific to equity. The very first thing is about new listing. See, a lot of traders wants to know which company got listed today, which company is new to stock exchange today. Okay, so that is Reliance listed about 3 decades before in NSE, maybe four decades before in BSE. But coming back to a lot of new companies gets listed on ongoing basis. So if you are interested in such detail, go to market data and there you have a new listing, and here you see the new listing available. But as of now, today, new IPO listing is nothing available at this moment. But if you want to know the recent listing, maybe last day or last to last day, these informations are available here. And you be specific to equity data. Okay, now just be specific to series equity data, because you have a lot of SME segment. I mean, the small companies getting listed, but EQ talks about the main board companies here. So you talk about equity main board companies. These companies are newly listed in stock exchange, and maybe it is with the date of 25th. So if you want to trade on a new listed companies, then you should always look after active listing, and then you get into that particular company. That is the first thing. And again, under market data, we have a pre-open market. Okay, pre-open market has a lot of myth among the beginners. A lot of beginners thinks that the gap up and gap downs are decided by pre-open market. No, it is not like that. It is actually based on the sentiment variation between a previous day close and today's open. But the pre-open market is from a exchange just to sanitize the open, is not getting unnecessarily fluctuated. So they wanted to in a calm and subtle way to market open, so everybody gives a fair chance to express themselves. So the orders gets collected from 9 till 9, 7 or 8, the random time it gets closed. So you get an idea. But this fluctuation or studying this particular pattern, I believe has nothing to do with the intraday market sentiment. So if you are a beginner or maybe a trader having a myth thinking that the pre-market decides the day sentiment, it is not like that. But the gap up and gap down may gives a sentiment, but that depends upon like the 9:15 opening price, not based on this 9 to 9:15 whatever happened in the market. So that's a, information is available. But if you want to know specific about pre-market, you get this detail available under market data. You have a pre-market. Since it is irrelevant, I request you just to ignore. But we have very interesting data points called equity and SME here. Okay, now if you click here, it gives you a feature called filtering. So I wish to highlight a term tool, because a tool helps you to make the data to be an informative one. So if I want to have a top 50 company data, it is available right by clicking that. But if you want to know a company specific to IT, then you go to a sectoral index and choose IT, then you get the list of companies specific to IT. So you don't have to browse one by one, you get these companies available. Mostly the company names are underlined, may have a hyperlink which takes you to specific to the company. So if I click on this particular one, it takes me through a TCS specific details here. Okay, you have an order book and you have a lot of informations, and many people have a myth of judging price based on this bid quantity and ask quantity. As a bonus tip, if you want to have a greater detail about it, do visit our channel, because we published a video maybe 3-4 years before, talked about the depth, and which went viral. Many people used it and found it very useful. So do refer that particular one. But if you need any updated version, do ask us about it. So I hope I've given you a clarity that by getting into a market data, go to equity, and that gives you a tool to filter companies based on various sector. Apart from that, you have one section called exchange traded fund. So if you click on exchange traded fund, okay, which is ETF, okay, many investors wants to invest in a collective index or a gold or a other commodities in a digital format, which is easy on a spot basis, because nobody can buy index 25425. Rather, you can buy a lot of ETF specific to Nifty. We have a lot of ETFs are available here. So this is accessible in one click by getting into market data, go to equity and go to equity SME market, and there you have a right side exchange traded fund. And then you have a lot of live market analysis can be done. So for that, you can get into like gainers and losers. Let's say if you go to gainers and losers here, this is specific to the relevant date. So you see as on the date is updated here, and you see today the top gainer, the very first company which gained 50%, but it is of no use because it trades on few países. Okay, and this company about 20%, it's about 170 rupees share at about 16%, but this takes about entire stock exchange listed companies. But I may be interested in top traded companies. So you have again a filtering option. If you want to filter a company based on Nifty 50, you can now pick top 50 companies based on performance. And if you want to have a losers, you can toggle it like this. And if you want to have a futures and options enabled companies, so you can go for F&O securities. So these companies are not necessarily Nifty 50 or Nifty 100, but you see this company names are there having the futures and options. And see here, if you get into this, how did I get into it? Market data, there I got into gainers and losers. But you have a very interesting thing that I use, which is a most active. If you get into a most active things here, you have a price spurt and volume spurt. Before I get into it, let me first explain main board. So the main board talks about across listed companies, across listed companies, which company is getting most of the traders interest. So HDFC Bank, SBIN or generally comes on top of the board, but you see MobiWeek and First Cry, these company names today on top of the board. So as a trader, especially if I'm an intraday trader, I need to know what's happening there. Is there is any tradable opportunities, because these companies coming on top of even Reliance, Bharti Airtel. So it is very important that we go and check why these companies volumes are so high. So on this grounds, it's important to check with them. And if you want to know about the volume spurt, okay, now the volume spurt is a very interesting tool which helps technical traders to talk about breakouts. Look at this one. There is a company called Equal 50, and this Equal 50 is having, okay, now that's maybe ETF, okay, that ETF is having about 173 times volume than its usual volume. But usual volume is so low, you don't have to break your head. But take a company like, InSwift Limited. When compared to the usual volume, it has about 51 times volume. So this given day today, when I'm looking at this, it has a lot of unusual interest on this particular company when compared to its previous days. So this helps you to get into the detail of it. Okay, but if you limit yourself to top companies, then you get some interesting informations about it. Okay, so that's how one use case that we can do about it. And the other one is, if you look at Nifty new 52-week high low, I'll talk about the statistics bit later. But here you get to know the company which made a 52-week high. And if you want to have a 52-week low, okay, now these guys have made, all-time highs. I mean, in a context, but it is like last 52-week, the today's price happens to be the highest price in the recent times. And in this case, it's 52-week low. So these guys have some weakness. And many people do ask EQSIS about a bulk and block deals, a large deals. So on one click here, it is available. How did I get into this one? It is available under market data. Okay, there is a large deal. So if you get into a large deals, you get to know not on live detail, but a day before, because any large deals did by any client have to be furnished to the exchange. In turn, exchange make this data available to us. So look at this one. Krishna Atwarkabar bought 1,71,000 shares, odd shares, at 71 rupees 74 paise, and he sold at 72.47. See, remember, this is not necessarily bought in one shot. He might have bought it in various time, throughout the day. Okay, and it is all specific to 25th June. Am I right? And this price and this price. So you see that average price at which he bought and sold. So the kind of a bulk and block deals. Remember, he bought and sold the entire quantity. Sometime the large deal happens to be only buying, or large deal happens to be only selling. So I give you a quick task now. If you are interested in finding the power of this data points, what you can do is pause this video and go to NSE website and get into market data. There you have a large deals, and check the recent data if there is anyone who just bought it or just sold it, or if you see any prominent company names, and it may be very useful for you. Just do this exercise to get the power of this particular data. Okay, so I hope I've covered about the large detail here. And likewise, if you want to get into derivative specific data, okay, I'll give you three common datas available. Okay, now if you get into most active contracts here, okay, so you have most active contracts. So this talks about contract specific. So in general, most active contracts are Nifty and Bank Nifties. But if you want to get into a stock segment, you have a filtering option by which you can go to it. So if you go to a most active stock call options, so you get a call option specific to stock segment. So Nifty and Bank Nifty get excluded for you to pay attention here. But this helps less in terms of doing any greater analysis. But if you want to have the momentum stocks, okay, I recommend you consider most active underlying. So if you get into the most active underlines here, Nifty and Bank Nifty by default they come on top because that's where most of the derivatives are getting traded. By then next is HDFC Bank, Reliance, ICICI, Bajaj Finserv. In general, sir, these guys comes on top. But by 9:15 to 9:30, I'm giving a bonus tip. 9:15 to 9:30 or at 10 o'clock, when you look at this particular data, sometime odd man comes into the picture. There you get a clarity. Okay, now something fishy happening. Even today in the morning, BEL was on top. That gives you a clarity. Okay, some unusual interest there in this particular counter, and you have to pay attention to that intraday charts to take some scalping or intraday swing trading that can be done there. So I hope I've given you some clarity. And I wish to break one myth. Change in open interest is a very commonly used F&O tool, and many people use the combination of rise in open interest and rise in price, rise in open interest, slide in price, rise in open interest, slide in price, slide in open interest, and rise in price to talk about fresh long, fresh short, long and wide. But sir, this is highly dependent on open interest. Am I right? Remember the open interest, what we see in NSE website here at this moment, which is pretty much provisional on an intraday basis. It is subject to change. So we don't get the data integrity by referring the open interest at this moment, the change in open interest. Rather, this is a very powerful data to do on end of the day, not on live market. That's an information that I added while explaining this particular feature. But if you want to know, that is all available under this particular tab. So I've covered about the four top things so far. The first thing is about NSE website, this Nifty 50 price, the benchmark price. Second is about the search bar. The third one is about equity, and the another one is about derivative. Now let's get back to the home page here, okay? Because the fifth one, which is the home page, sir, NSE recently updated their website, and this comes with a lot of data point, very insightful data points. Okay, the very first thing that I wish to talk about is NSE Nifty chart itself, and you see there is a hidden button here. Am I right? It talks about heat map. This heat map takes us to the sector specific analysis. So in one click, it takes you to the sector specific analysis. Generally, this heat map is not so useful, but if you get into a sectorial index, you get to know in one side that the deep red is negative, which is Nifty media is negative, Nifty real estate is negative, and the positive things is oil and energy is positive. So you get a clarity which sector that I have to pay attention. But generally sector analysis makes sense provided you understand the broader market sentiment. So if you see a broader market sentiment is positive, then you will go to the sector which is actually positive. So your eyes should now run behind oil and energy, oil and gas. So even if you go on one click, it gives you the oil and gas companies there, and there you see the companies in a sorted order from the greater to this, and you have various index to toggle from one place to another place. So as I went to oil and gas here, and if I want to identify oil and gas in a greater detail of the company, you can go. So from home page to a company, you go in few clicks, which is like understand the market sentiment. Then one click, you get into the sector. Am I right? Then once you get into the sector, you go to the stock by moving to that right particular company. So I've given you how effective this one feature from the home page. The second feature from the home page, which is understanding the market sentiment by looking at advance and decline. Remember, as the intraday trader, we highly put weights on the current market sentiment. The very powerful feature is to understand the advances and declines. The bonus is to identify 52-week high and 52-week low made in a given day. Today, there are 54 stocks made a 52-week high and about 19 stocks made a 52-week low. and we have upper circuit and lower circuit. Okay, the stocks breach the upper band of the day and lower band of the day. These talks about the floor sentiment. Always take the floor sentiment in your favor. And if you want to know the total number of companies and their collective value, which is listed in National Stock Exchange, which we call it as market capitalization of NSE, put together, it is in trillion dollar, which is $5.26 trillion. Okay, now you may be a beginner or a advanced trader, but you count yourself as registered investor provided you have a trading account. Am I right? So if you get into a registered trading account in one click, okay, now this roughly gives you about 22 crore, okay, UCC is there in NSE. Okay, now if you want to have about the UCCs with respect to July, you have as of today the total count roughly around 22 crores, and you get to know state wise. But these details are less useful to do analysis, but for fun, if you want to explore for some information, if you want to dig, you get this particular information available there. But this talks about the liquidity in any stock exchange and participations from NSE. Okay, and if you scroll down, you get to know about the market informations and market snapshots. Okay, and here you have about derivative data. Okay, these informations are now available in the homepage itself, very interestingly. And we will be talking about the IPO data in a greater detail a bit later. Okay, where we will be using about IPO tracker. Even you get to know about the currency prices, the four major currency prices like USD, N, British pound, and euro. And these details are actually available right in the homepage, widely used. But if you want to know about the commodity prices as well, it is available like gold price, silver price, crude price. But don't benchmark this with the jewelry price. I'm talking about the traders or investors who participate in markets. So this talks about 24 karat different grams with their prices are available at this prices. Okay, now these are the quick information that we get to know from the homepage. The next best thing that I wish to highlight is the IPO specific data. Initial public offerings. Okay, now initial public offerings are available right on top here. IPO, click here, you get to know this. So when you get into this IPO, now these are the IPO's issue date and issue close date. Okay, now this is active. It means if you want to participate in a company which is new to stock exchange, so these are the companies are available for you at this moment. Because look at this, the subscription which is like on this particular company, okay, the Globe Civil Project Limited, where the subscription is 27 times. Okay, because they offered only a kind of 1 crore shares, but about 32 crore shares being applied for it. So you get to know the start date and end date. Make sure that you apply before the end date, because if the end date is crossed, this will not be available here. So this is a current issue. But if you want to know the past issue, you get this detail. If you want to know the upcoming issue, you get to know this detail. But this issue belongs to not the main board, but the small companies. So make sure that you see the security type to know whether it is the small or a big companies are expected. Hope this is also interesting information available. And let me go back to the next one, which is investors. Okay, now if you are an investor, okay, if you bet on a company from a long-term perspective, okay, now you get some information available here. Okay, now I think it's about halfway through, but I told you there are certain data points that even pros are not aware of it. So if you manage to watch this video until this minute, I want to give you a bonus, that one thing that I will reveal now, which gives you a goosebump. Okay, now you will certainly be using it in your future. Okay, stay for some more time to talk about some interesting, insider trading informations here. Before I get into it, let me go back to the seventh one, which is for investors. I get into announcements here. Okay, now this announcements, if you have if you go to this in general, the announcement, you get to know about all the company specific announcements. Okay, anything specific to the day. So you get to know today any announcements are coming there. You hit this one day. So any announcement specific to one day will be here. So you can look at these companies price and charts and see any tradable opportunities. Okay, so that is with respect to announcement. But many people wants to know about their corporate actions, dividends, bonus, buyback. So just hit this corporate action. You get to know the corporate actions by companies. Like Prime Securities Limited is a company which offered a dividend of 1 rupee 50 paise per share and their X date is 26th June 2025. So today, if I happens to have a shares in the morning, I will get 1 rupee 50 paisa in my bank account, registered bank account. Likewise, you have a lot of companies, corporate actions are listed available here. So here I mentioned it as a feature called forthcoming, but if you want to know the company's given dividend last week or next week, so you have these features. But if you want to know specific to a company, you can use this filtering options to do so. But not just the dividends alone, you have a lot of interesting features like bonus and other activities. So do search and get these things available here. So if you are a trader wants to know for a long time that you don't even know where to get the dividends information, I'm sorry about it. It is easily available in NSE in a couple of clicks. So you get it from here. And another one, which is insider trading. This is what I'm talking about it. Remember, if you get into a section called insider trading here, okay, insider trading, I'll talk about what it is now. Insider trading is any insider of a company, anybody who knows price sensitive information about the company, okay, a top management who knows about the contracts, okay, and whenever they buy sell shares of the company, their details needs to be published, okay, as per SEBI norms, so that a public get to know and they get a fair play to with. Because as an insider, they can take a private or a advantage out of it. So whenever they buy sell, they have to make this in prior information with SEBI, and SEBI in turn makes this information publicly available. So that comes under the regulation 7 subsection 2, disclosures under SEBI Prohibition of Insider Trading Act. So if any insider, okay, wants to buy sell that particular shares, they have to make this. So here you get to know the name of the insider, you get to know the company name and what exactly he intend to do. After all, he is selling only 900 shares, but as a disclosure, he has to make this information available. But if it is a less number of shares, may not be any meaningful informations here. But if you see the significant portions are getting bought or sold, just be aware of it, because you and me as a common man may not know what's happening inside the company. But if insiders are selling that particular company, we need to know, because in general, I want to know why is that they are selling. And if it's happening frequently, and if it is happening with a group of people specific to a company, I've given some hints. They are powerful things for a traders to take decisions. Okay, even as an investor, you get a bell ring to review that company. And for a trader, if you want to know what's happening now, I request you to look after insider trading plan. Okay, now because this gives you a clarity. Okay, this gives you a clarity when an insider proposing that I wish to sell in advance with SEBI, that detail is even available here. I don't know how many of you are aware of this particular detail. If you are first time seeing this particular detail, give me like, just share these things, or probably you can share this particular time to other people to get this available for many to use it. And do subscribe to get such valuable content going forward. Coming back here, let me give you, don't click on the company name, because if you click on the company name, it takes you to the company details. But there is something called detail here. So let me explain. Aditya Birla Real Estate Limited, okay, something specific to insider information available in this detail. So if you click here, it opens you this page. And if you get into this particular page, it gives you on 16th May 2025, they submitted this information. Okay, they submitted this information on 16th May, pointing the fact on 22 Sep or 26th Sep, in between these two dates, they are planning to sell 31,000 shares. Okay, so Aditya Birla Real Estate Limited, okay, some insider, we don't know the name of the insider, some insider, okay, the designation, nothing is in, the name is not revealed, but you get to know only after it's done. Okay, but it is only tentative plan. Okay, and they are planning to sell 31,000 shares. Okay, it is very well in advance, it has been mentioned, so that if without this information, if insider sells it, it gets into a trouble by SEBI out of regulatory intervention. So now we need to know, likewise here, let's get into this company, Aditya Birla Real Estate Limited. Let's look at the total traded quantity today. It is only about zero 0.4 lakh. Look, I'm recording this on a live market close to 2 hours. Okay, now it's about a kind of 1:30 now on 26th June. Okay, By then, this particular company's overall shares is only about 40,000, because it's 0.4 lakhs. It's only, it's only about a 40,000 shares got traded overall now. But this guy has a plan of selling 31,000 shares. So heavy selling in proportion to the given traded date. This needs to be watched of this particular company on 22nd Feb to 26th. Likewise, if you have a chance to scroll like this, okay, 6 months before these announcement did happen. So 6 months before 13th September, some announcement happened. Let me get into this one, NIT Limited. Okay, so if you want to know this detail, click this detail. NIT Limited on 13th Feb, they made an announcement pointing 17th June to 23rd June. I will be selling 58,000 shares. Okay, some insider made it. So 17th June to 23rd June, I'm recording this on 26th June. So very likely that I'm interested in this. So likewise, if you have any date falling within this range, definitely good to see them. So I hope this is very useful information so that you get some clarity. So that is again useful for a traders as well investors. But if you are an investor, make sure that your company has less exposure towards related party transaction, because if you want to get into your company and go to related party transaction, it is very important, because a lot of companies deal with the related parties, and they make sometime unfair practices of giving their private limited companies their sole proprietorships and their related party company to win the deal, and they use public company as a namesake. But as make sure that this company is investor friendly company, especially public investors friendly company. So for that, the related party transactions are very useful. And even if you want to know about the shareholding patterns, and many things are quite useful in this particular area. So shareholding patterns, SDD, as standard disclosures, are very powerful to look into it. So you can go to any company recently published with their shareholding pattern. So you can go to this particular area to go to the details here. So you get to know, this is a standard template that everybody has to submit it. So you get to know how many public are there, how many promoters are there, what are the percentage they have in this particular company. So these are the informations that you need to know as an investor. That is all available here in a couple of clicks. So if, again, a bonus rewind, that if you want to know where is that particular where is that particular insider trading plan. So once you get into list announcement, on left side tab, if you scroll down, there you find a insider plan here. Okay, insider trading plan. Otherwise, just hit Control F and you get to know this detail. Do remember, these informations are very useful. Okay, another one. Let's say you are a beginner, you want to know about a trading member, choosing the right broker. Okay, now that you get to know from the regulations, you have a member compliance, because any broker, they have to compile with the exchange, otherwise their brokership, the broking license gets cancelled. Okay, so they have a complaint against members. So if you click here, you get a detail about the complaints that exchange received from clients against trading members during the financial year. So in one click, you can download this particular Excel and you can get an extract complete detail. But if you want to know about any, see, everybody can make a complaint, but the complaint gets reviewed, or if any penal action has been taken, any fine being levied, those details are available here. So if you want to have more relevant data, probably you can download this particular Excel sheet and you can sort them out here. So let's say if I open this one for you, let me open one for you here. When you open an Excel sheet here, okay, you will get this particular data points, and just hit this enable editing, and there you have a lot of information. So if you want to sort this everything, if you're good with Excel, I hope you can certainly do that. So let me sort this by getting into the last column here. Number of complaints. So number of complaints is there with the column E, am I right? So column E from, let's, okay, number of complaint is with column D. Okay, so sort them based on column D with largest to smallest. And okay, now there's some way that you can actually sort it out and get to know that this company, Motilal Oswal, got about 165 complaints, and that's been accepted and a lot by, but they paid some penalties for it as well. And there is about 121 complaints from Kotak Bank. Eventually, big names have more complaints because they have more customers. So it's good that you can actually go and see, Upstocks got about 224 complaints, and specific to this financial year. So I hope this particular data is useful if you want to know, I know maybe for informative perspective, not from trading or analysis perspective, but good to while choosing a broker if you want to get into it. By any chance, if you want to make a complaint against the broker, you can actually do that by going to complaint section here. How to lodge a complaint, or online, just click into this particular one. You have two sections where you can actually make it. One is smart ODR. This is from regulatory perspective, it is made compulsory. So you can make complaint against any registered intermediaries by getting into this area, or you can go to SEBI score website. Let me take you through one, which is the smart ODR. If you click onto smart ODR, it will take you through a second, a third party website, smart ODR. Here you have a lot of associated parties, but if you want to raise a complaint, you need to have an account. So if you want to create an account, create one here. So if you click here, it will ask your name, email address. Make sure that you give an email address which is associated with the stock exchange that is mentioned here, and then you go to their phone number, PAN number, and everything. But this requires your detail while you raise your complaint. But NSE or even SEBI generally keeps this particular data confidential, so you don't get much, but it is only for a communication. But by any chance, if you want to raise a complaint without giving your detail, there is a place you can do it. Go to regulations, and underneath you can go and hit this submit tip off. So here is where you get a lot of calls, you get a lot of sometimes certain things that you're unable to express, but if you want to give a tip off, so hit this particular one, go to submit a tip off, just write whatever the complaint you have, okay? But make sure it is genuine and give some proof so that they can actually start working on it. But in case it is recommended, in case if you wish to give your details, you can hit yes. But if it is so sensitive that if you're afraid of giving your information, probably you get option no, and you can still submit this particular data. Hopefully, the relevant complaints people will look into it and you get a fair response out of it. So those are the details that you as a common man should know when you really want to complain. And these informations are available in NSE website here. And let me reiterate one thing, that I'm giving you only 0.1% of this website, has a lot of details, lot more. But of course, I cannot cover everything here. But if you want any specific detail, do put it in the in the below comment section. I'll be talking about it. But I appreciate the kind of time that you spend to watch this until this minute. And coming back to the ninth important detail is the data analyst. Okay, if you are familiar with exchange data, you want to compute it with your Excel, or if you want to put it in your programming language, if you want a raw data that you need to download, then go to daily reports. Okay, now we have two things to cover. One is about capital markets, that's the ninth feature, and the 10th feature that I'm covering today is about the derivative markets. So if you get into the capital markets alone, the very first thing that you get to know is the P ratio. Okay, and that's a very interesting. There are a lot of data available, but I limit myself to the P ratio here, because the P ratio, what you see here, okay, this is available right in the morning itself of the given day. So if you want to go the P ratio, just download it. And again, it opens in Excel sheet. So these things are not in the NSE website viewability. Rather, it is more of looking into downloadable Excel sheet so that you can do it for a further analysis. That's why I said it's more of data analysis. So you can sort this company based on, high PE, low PE, or a specific range. Those can be done using your sort and filtering options that you can use. But I'm not here to explain the P ratios here. I'm just giving you an idea where collective P's are available, and this is available on a daily basis. Okay, and interestingly, this data available right in the morning itself. Okay, and coming back, the next interesting data available is the short sale. Okay, if you want to know about the short sale in exchange, you can place sell order before even you place a buy order, but you have to buy the shares before 3:30 if you don't have a shares. But if you don't buy without having a shares, it will mark as short sale and it goes for auction. That detail is available here. So if you go and click this particular data here, and so here you get to know. See, this data may not be available right in the morning itself, but you get to know this detail in the mid of noon, because after the auction price is all happening. So this is useful to understand which particular stocks are having a expected to have auctions more. Okay, so if you want to know how I sort it, let me give you a clarity here. You can actually choose a quantity and take a largest to smallest. Okay, now look at this. A Bajaj Consumer Care having about 3 lakh shares got short. Oh my God, it's about 3 lakh shares having a short positions. It means that 3 lakhs people, 3 lakhs worth of share, I mean, not worth, 3 lakh shares in quantity sold, yet to buy. So eventually exchange have to buy it on behalf of them. So that buyback has to happen via auction trading. Am I right? So if you want to know the reason why it happened, probably that stock might have went for upper circuit. So many people who sold it might have not been bought. Otherwise, you need to know why these things are there. So these stocks actually good to look into it. If you get to know the value, it makes a lot more details as well. So I hope I've given you some detail about short sale here. And then the other one is about bulk and block deals. I've given you how you can get it from the exchange interface itself through large deals. But if you want to know about the bulk and block deals to download so that you can do further analysis, you can still do that. Okay. And whenever you click a download button, it gets downloaded specific to the data. But if you want to know about the historical data, you can hit this historical data and then you get the bulk and block deal. Then you get to know about the dates to choose and download it. That way it will become very useful. Okay, but if you go for a bulk and block deals, and if you download it, don't just, as I already told you about the sometime buy and sell, but look at the net value being net bought or net sold, and look at the price difference to make some sense out of it. So I'll talk about use cases a bit later, but these data are available here. And very common data points people use while downloading is the Bahu copy. Okay, Bahu copy, it's a Hindi term that's price sheet. Okay, Bahu means price. So Bahu copy gives you the details of all listed companies on a given day specific price. It opens a zip, okay, and or a RAR file that you need. Once you open that particular Excel sheet, you get to know all the company names, okay, all the company names specific to it, and it is it in the equity or trade to trade segment with open, high, low, close, lot of informations that you get to know about it. But this all data are useful for a pro trader who do a lot of data analysis. But if you're a beginner, you don't have to complicate much. Okay, probably you get some insight with some of the data, but if you need any specific information that you need, put it in the comment section. But now I'll talk about the 10th use case of NSE website, which is derivatives. So once you get into derivatives, here you have a lot of interesting data that, but I wish to highlight one thing, that as a derivative trader, you need, sometimes you want to know the contracts that are banned for a given day to trade, that is available under the ban segment. So if you want to know where it is, okay, now you can just scroll down and see that F&O securities and ban. But if you couldn't identify on your eyes, probably you can hit Control F and search ban. So if you hit that search ban, you get it and then download it. So this Excel sheet will give you the underlines which are banned to take a fresh position. By any chance, if you already have a position, you can exit. So reduction in open interest is allowed, but you cannot create a fresh open interest. So that is the reason why this particular data is again useful here. And the other interesting information is about, many people ask about FII open interest, participant wise open interest. Here is the data. So this is widely used, even we use extensively, and a lot of videos we explained it, and much informative things are also available. But if you want to have a raw data out of it, you can actually click here in one button, then it actually opens it here, and there you get to know a client having open interest in various segment, and FIA having open interest. Client means people like you and me, and FIA means institutions from foreign. DA means domestic institutions like insurance, mutual funds, a proprietary desk like a brokers having a pro desk there. Okay, and you get to know about the open interest, and you compare with the previous day, good to get to know the changes. So you can do a lot of data analysis using it. And there's one more interesting data available here, which is the client position 3%. Okay, now there are a lot more data available, but if you want to browse and explore, do spend some time. But I'm talking about limiting myself to here. If any given client having more than 3%, any given client having more than 3% in a given underlying. Okay, let me give you an example here by opening this. Because let's say Reliance has a market-wide position, loans about under available position. Okay, now under available position, if you have, okay, now I open many Excel sheets here. Okay, look at this one, the granulars here. One client got about 4.91% of the total open interest. The other guy got about 4.6. The other guy got about, in total, the top 10 clients having about 40%. So it is highly concentrated. A very few people having a 40% of this particular counter. It is not with many hands. So it can create a concentrated risk. So just be aware of, what do I mean by this particular area as well. Okay. So the last but not least, again, the bow copy with respect to F&O is still available here. So if you want to download, it is quite easy to download. So let me now summarize here that NSE website looks like a very simple website. Needless to log in, you don't have to give any public data. It is available for a public user with a lot of informations. Okay, and as a disclosures that the trading members have to disclose themselves to their NSE, and as a company has to make their public available informations in the website. So as a investor, as a trader, you get right to use this information. So make use of this particular, just because it is freely available, don't underestimate it, and it is very powerful than I say that many paid tools. Okay, and just because it is freely available, don't overlook it. Go for it and get the best out of it. And if you have any features that if you see that I missed it, eventually, most likely, because there are a lot more features that I cannot cover. Even now, I took about a pretty lengthy video to talk about it. So thanks to those who spend this time until this minute. But if you see that any data that I missed it, do let me know in a way that I know in the comment section. I'll cover it in the future video. Thanks for watching this.